This is Gigi, and she is the new brawler that is coming in the next Brawl Stars update, and today I'm going to pit her 1v1 versus every brawler in the game. Gigi is a mythic assassin, and she feels quite a bit different than other assassins that we have seen before, but in some ways similar. Gigi is part of Juju's trio in the Oddities shop and will be coming with the update in just a few days. She has relatively average health with 7,600 hit points, but a very fast movement speed to help her get around. And this brawler is all about mobility and playmaking, as you will shortly see. Now for her main attack, you can kind of think of her as the love child between Amber and Trunk. Sorry about that. To start attacking, you simply hold down the fire button and she will start spinning, dealing damage to everything around her. This damage only deals a mere 1,000 per hit, but it happens very quickly. That being said, her ammo depletes very fast, so the spinning doesn't last a long time. On the bright side, she has a very fast reload speed, so you can get back into the action pretty quick. She has a new trait in Brawl Stars where if she dodges an attack, it will build her super up. At least that's how Brawl Stars made it sound in the Brawl Talk, because that was actually fake news. In reality, it doesn't matter if you dodge the attack or not. It charges up whenever that shot enters your circle, regardless if it hits you or you juke it. That being said, you can equip her first gadget called Longer Strings. With this, when pressed, it will increase the area around her, which can result in more shots being dodged and therefore a faster supercharge. Not only that, but her first star power called Play Protection? Is that a French word? Play Protection. With that, if you haven't received damage for 3 seconds, it will increase the charge rate from those dodges up by 30%. Now combine the two and dodge some shots and you should have that super in no time. So then, what does her super do? When you use her super called Shadow Puppet, she can place an area on the map and then teleport to it. Once there, you can attack the enemy, but you can also equip her second star power, which will heal you for 2,400 when you use her super, making it so that you can go at under full health and then get topped back up once you're there. Now the trick with this super is that when you use it, you don't deal any damage when you teleport there, and you also don't lose your supercharge. However, if you press your super again, it will return you to your starting point and deal 3,000 damage to anybody who is near her when she teleports back. Now she does have one oddball gadget called Disappearing Act that functions almost identically to Leon's Lollipop, but with a smaller radius, where if you use it, you and your teammates can be inside of it and be invisible there, but it is a very small circle. Okay, now that you know all about her abilities, let's see how she fares against every brawler in the game in base level interactions. Let's start this out versus the one class that Gigi should be able to absolutely sweep the floor with, the throwers. Now, as expected, she does indeed beat every thrower up close. That being said, some of these brawlers get dangerously close to taking her down. Now part of that is due to her average health, but it's also in big part because she doesn't have a lot of burst damage with her main attack, which you can clearly see as she struggles to beat some of these brawlers in base level interactions. That being said, in a game, like most assassins, she is going to absolutely feast on throwers. Most of these throwers have attacks that aren't too terribly hard to dodge, and as I've mentioned before, dodging attacks is where Gigi builds up her super outside of combat. So every shot a thrower misses on her, and it will be hard to hit her thanks to her very fast movement speed, she is going to be getting one step closer to unleashing her super on you and sending you right back to spawn. Really, all she has to do is get a tiny bit of damage on you after she supers in, and then she can recall herself, finishing you off with ease. So if you're a thrower, treat her like every other assassin and just stay far away, because if she has her super and decides that you're her target, well, there's very little you can do to stop it from happening. That, however, is not the case for our next set of brawlers, the tanks. As you would expect, she gets absolutely decimated by Bull and Primo up close, but it's not really a surprise. What is that she actually beats Rosa. Does Rosa need a buff? Daryl, however, mops the floor with her, and Jackie does the same. She lives through 3 of Frank's shots, but not the 4th. BB just swings away, and in the end, she strikes out. Now, Ash channels that inner rage to pick up a victory, but Hank is not able to do the same in a very close fight. Trunk spins, but Gigi spins faster. Buster's able to get a convincing win up close, but Ollie loses due to his lower damage output as well. Now Meg gets knocked out of her mech, but she manages to finish the job in small form, taking down Gigi. But Draco isn't able to get max damage because Gigi's range is so short he loses. However, in a game hitting full damage shots, he would just flat out outrange her. So she went 6 and 9 against the tanks, and honestly, that's pretty darn good. It's better than I expected her to do. That being said, in a game, I don't expect it to be that easy, but she does have some advantages. Most of these tanks are going to want to fight up close, and well, Gigi wants the same. However, some of the slightly longer range tanks like Buster, Draco, Ash, and even Trunk do outrange her if you can play it right. So while she may have gotten some wins, it's not going to be as simple as that. The unique thing with this brawler is that Gigi can super in, deal some quick damage, and then recall herself, potentially taking down the tank in the process. Now, I still don't think that you're going to make this your first choice of targets, but it can work in the right situation. What will work in almost every situation is ambushing a marksman. Now, I say almost because Brock wins right off the rip, but then we go back to the norm of these long-range brawlers losing at close range. However, Nani has a stopping power to get a win. Bonnie has a ton of health, but a slow shot, and Belle, she just can't get it done. Mandy takes it down to the wire, but loses by just a few frames. However, Maisie and her fast unload, she wins no problem. Now, Angelo never gets off a second shot, and Janet wishes, well, she could just fly away. Now, despite the marksman getting a couple wins in there, this is going to be a very tough matchup. At range, these marksmen can win if you hit shots, but with that very fast movement speed that she has, it's going to be a tough target to hit, and single shot projectiles are a bit easier to dodge as well. So just by playing the range right, you'll be able to build up your super. And of course, you know what's coming now, because when you use that super on a marksman, it's all but lights out. Now, the marksmen do have quite a few defensive capabilities, so if there's a Gigi on the field, you're going to want to save that for those moments, because all she needs to do is teleport in, hold down that fire button for just a second, and then teleport out, and you're finished. So more than ever, hitting your shots against Gigi is going to be very important, or else you're in for a long day. But what about the other assassins? How does Gigi stack up against her own class? Now, in general, assassins have one of two things: either really high burst damage or extreme movement speed and gap closing ability. For Gigi, she is firmly in the movement camp. Now, that's not to say that her damage with her main attack is bad. It's not, but it's not super bursty. It's like good sustained damage that lasts a few seconds, but not one that's going to just evaporate an enemy on the spot. I would classify her more of a playmaker rather than a true assassin, but that's a category that doesn't exist. She's not a brawler that you want to get close to willingly. However, she isn't one that you're going to be able to escape from either once you're toe-to-toe with her, because she is just so dang fast. Cordelius is able to come out on top, but Kenji finds out that you shouldn't stay close for too long. Kaze loses in geisha form, but dominates her in ninja aspect, bringing Gigi's record to 7 and 10 versus the other assassins. This matchup might be a tough one for her in-game. She is going to have to heavily rely on moving around the map, striking with her super, and then getting the heck out of there. When she isn't the one initiating the contact, she just does not have the burst damage to defend herself very well. So while yes, she is technically an assassin, she might be one of the ones that the assassins pick on. But if she gets her super, then all bets are off, because it only takes her a second to deal some damage and then get out of town. But the question is, will she play nice against the controllers? I'm gonna guess not. The controllers are a class filled with a wide variety of brawlers. Most of them do not thrive on close quarters combat, but rather prefer to sit back at a distance and plink away until they're able to make use of that ability that puts them in the controller class. So when they're presented with the prospect of facing off at point blank range against an assassin, let's just say that this is not a fight that they would normally choose to start. But I mean, this is my video and I haven't given them that option, so here they are, toe-to-toe with a creepy ballerina, spinning in their face just like an Edgar who killed you in Showdown. And just like that Edgar, if you end up this close to her, it doesn't take a ton of skill to come out on top, as it's just holding down a single button. Poor Willow never really stood much of a chance, and even Chuck, who does respectable damage, falls as well. Charlie probably needs to learn a new yo-yo trick, but Finks, if aimed right, can get a win. Ziggy's result wasn't exactly shocking, and Sandy needed, well, more sand. And in the battle of the one-button brawlers, Gigi beats Amber. Now in a game, this is a classic tale of two stories. Before Gigi gets her super, the control brawlers actually are very well equipped to deal with her. Many of them have a widespread shot, so it's going to be much harder for her to dodge them, and pretty much every single one of them outrange her as well. It's a fairly good matchup for them. That is until the second half of this story takes place and Gigi gets her super. At that point, the controllers have basically two chances, those being slim and none. If you're able to keep her back and then are very careful once she gets her super, then you might do okay, but if that teleport circle ends up around you, then you just probably ought to accept your fate, respawn, and try again. However, one class that does have a chance here are the damage dealers. These are the brawlers that are specifically designed to output the maximum amount of damage and are well equipped to deal with a brawler charging at them. As an assassin, this class, in general, is not going to be your first choice of target, but if push comes to shove and this is the matchup you've drawn, how will she do against them? In the case of Pearl at full heat, yeah, not good. But Tara, also not good. However, Eve just can't compete, and even RT gets beat in normal form. Clancy at stage 2 comes up just short, and Mo, without his super, gets put down. Lumi has good damage, but it's not bursty. Mina though? Oof, that's brutal. Both Spike and Surge make it a decent fight, however, they lose in the end, but not by much. And then finally Chester does Chester things. So a 12-7 record is actually really respectable. It's not like pure domination like we've seen from some assassins in the past, but it's for sure not bad. Now in a game, I actually think this is a pretty fair matchup. She is going to win some, and she's going to lose some, but it's fair. Once she gets her super, of course, then she has an advantage, especially against those lower hit point brawlers, but without it, she might have a pretty tough time. You shouldn't be too scared of her as a damage dealer, but she is for sure one that you shouldn't just ignore. So then there is one class left, and it's the support brawlers. Plain and simple, the support brawlers are always looking out for the assassins and trying their best to stay far away from them and let their teammates take care of them while supporting them from the back lines. Now that's not to say that they can't do well. I mean, Max gets a win, but Byron gets dunked on like LeBron versus a toddler. Ruff's fight is, well, rough. And Gray, well, at least he looks good in that skin. Lucky for Doug, he can heal and he outlasts Gigi. Jay Young, well, he can't heal himself, and Kit was just one claw short. That gives Gigi a score of 61 and 37 versus every brawler, which is for sure a very good result, but not nearly as dominant as some of the other assassins we have seen on release. But the real question is will she be any good? And this one is honestly a bit tough. On one hand, I think that this brawler has massive playmaking potential. You can use her super to do things like teleporting in Brawl Ball, and because you retain that super, you'll be able to super in, grab the ball, and then super it to the goal, covering a massive distance. Or even the classic in-gym grab, supering in, taking out the gym carrier, and then just recall yourself right back, turning the game around completely. In Heist, you'll be able to go in on the safe, dealing a ton of damage that the enemy cannot ignore, and then teleport back when they come for you. In Bounty, you can get some quick kills because normally the squishier brawlers are there, or even in Showdown, you'll be the ultimate third-party player. From objectives to just getting kills, she has a ton of upside. However, I think that that's going to be overshadowed by her weaknesses. Her range is abysmal, her damage takes a while to ramp up, and her health, despite being alright, it doesn't feel like enough because of that damage ramp up. You're going to spend the first minute of every match just desperately trying to get your super by putting yourself in harm's way to build it up, and if no one shoots you, you're left in Brawl Stars purgatory trying to get close, outranged by everybody, and having a tough time doing anything useful while dying a bunch before you do get that super. And then you get your one moment of fun where you kind of need to hit multiple people just to get that super back, or you end up right back where you started, struggling. Her burst damage is just not good, so you're going to have to really rely on picking on low hit point or very low damage enemies, or really just getting in and out as fast as possible. And to make matters worse, since there's a delay in getting your attacks going, even after you teleport in, it takes a second to start even dealing damage. Other assassins are actually going to target you. Tanks will not be scared of you. Damage dealers are going to outrange and outburst you. Like, other than her super, I find her very aggravating to play, so, I mean, I don't know, maybe she's just not for me, but outside of those moments where you can make a play, which is fun, I just don't think she's very good. Like, if I was rating her purely on playmaking ability, I would give her a 10 out of 10. But like normal gameplay, it's like a 2 out of 10. So I mean, I guess I'll just like go in the middle and say 5 out of 10. And I think I'm being kind even with that. Now get out there and enjoy the update, or watch this video right over here where I opened up hundreds of the new mech boxes coming later in the update. They're pretty wild and I got some awesome stuff.